20 black celebrities who died of AIDS that will shock you. Welcome to our channel, Legends of Black Excellence. In this video, we uncover the powerful and often heartbreaking stories of 20 black celebrities who tragically died of AIDS. Behind the fame, talent, and success were silent battles fought in the shadows, at a time when stigma silenced too many. From iconic musicians to beloved actors, these lives deserve to be remembered. Stay tuned, because some of the names on this list may truly surprise you. Fela Kuti. Fela Kuti wasn't just a musician, he was a revolution in motion. Born in Nigeria on October 15, 1938, Fela defied expectations from the very start. While his parents envisioned a future for him in medicine, Fela had a different calling, one that pulsed with rhythm and roared with resistance. He channeled his passion into music, not just as an art form but as a weapon against oppression. With his bold fusion of jazz, highlife, funk, and traditional African rhythms, Fela created Afrobeat, a genre as rebellious as the man himself. Through Afrobeat, Fela challenged Nigeria's corrupt regimes, exposed social injustices, and gave voice to the voiceless. His music was unapologetically political, laced with fiery lyrics that called out hypocrisy, police brutality, and exploitation. Songs like Zombie and Water No Get Enemy became anthems of resistance, while his performances turned into electrifying acts of protest. But Fela's fearlessness came at a cost. He was arrested over 200 times, beaten, and targeted by the state. Still, he never backed down. His Calcutta Republic, part home, part commune, part recording studio, became a symbol of defiance and freedom. Fans revered him not only as a musical genius but as a prophet of the people. In the late 1990s, the vibrant voice of a continent fell silent. On August 2, 1997, Fela Kuti died from complications related to AIDS. He was 58. His death stunned fans across the globe, especially given the silence that had surrounded his illness. Yet even in death, Fela remains a towering figure in music and activism. His influence continues to shape modern African soundscapes and inspire generations to speak truth to power. Fela Kuti didn't just make music, he made history, and his rhythm still echoes in the fight for justice today. Larry Riley. Larry Riley was born on June 20, 1952, with a natural flair for performance and a passion that lit up every room he entered. As a child, he would entertain family and friends with makeshift performances, dreaming of stardom. That dream came to life on Broadway, where his breakout role in A Soldier's Play earned critical acclaim. He later reprised the part in the film adaptation, solidifying his presence in both stage and screen acting. But it was television that brought Larry into homes across America. His most iconic role came as Frank Williams on the popular primetime soap Knots Landing, where he made history as the show's first black lead cast member. His charisma and depth as an actor not only earned him awards but also broke barriers in a genre that had long lacked diversity. He also showcased his musical talent in other roles, revealing a soulful voice and a vibrant stage presence. Behind the scenes, however, Larry battled demons. In the late 1980s, he struggled with substance abuse and sought treatment. It was during this difficult period that he received a diagnosis that changed his life. He had contracted HIV. Fearing the stigma of the disease, he kept his condition private, telling the public he was suffering from kidney problems instead. Despite his deteriorating health, Larry continued to act, performing with grace and determination. On June 6, 1992, just days shy of his 40th birthday, Larry Riley died of complications related to AIDS. After his passing, his family chose to reveal the truth about his illness, hoping to combat the fear and silence surrounding the epidemic. In his honor, the Larry Riley Award was created in Memphis to recognize rising talent in acting, ensuring that his legacy continues to inspire new stars to shine. Bobby DeBarge. Bobby DeBarge was born on March 5, 1956, into a family where music wasn't just a hobby, it was a way of life. As the eldest of the DeBarge siblings, Bobby's smooth falsetto and raw emotional range became the foundation for the R&B group Switch, which he co-founded in the late 1970s. The group's hits like There'll Never Be and I Call Your Name helped define the silky, melodic sound of late 70s soul, and Bobby quickly earned a reputation as one of the most gifted vocalists of his generation. While his voice captivated millions, Bobby's personal life was marked by internal battles. Behind the glamour of the spotlight, he struggled with substance abuse, particularly heroin, which would shadow his career and relationships. Despite stints in rehab and legal trouble that included jail time in the late 1980s for drug trafficking, Bobby continued to make music, determined to find redemption through his art. It was during this dark chapter that he revealed to his family he had contracted HIV, a diagnosis linked to his years of drug use. As the disease progressed, Bobby's health deteriorated, but his spirit remained resilient. He attempted a musical comeback in the early 90s, showing flashes of his old brilliance even as his body weakened. Bobby DeBarge died on August 16, 1995, at just 39 years old. His death marked a heartbreaking end to a story filled with both extraordinary talent and painful struggles. Though his time was short, Bobby's voice remains immortal, a haunting, beautiful reminder of what once was. His legacy lives on not only through the timeless tracks he helped create but also in the influence he had on younger artists, including his siblings in the group DeBarge, who would carry the family's musical torch into the next decade. Sharon Redd. Sharon Redd was born on October 19, 1945, into a family where talent ran deep. Her father was a producer at King Records, her half-sister was the singer Penny Ford, and her brother was a songwriter, all threads in the rich tapestry of Sharon's musical DNA. From a young age, she dazzled family and friends with her natural ability to perform, often turning the living room into her own private concert stage. In the 1970s, Sharon's star began to rise. She landed roles in musicals like Hair, showcasing both her powerful vocals and commanding stage presence. But it was in the disco scene of the early 1980s where she truly came into her own. Signed to Prelude Records, Sharon released a string of dance floor anthems that made her a staple of the era, including Can You Handle It, Never Give You Up, and Love Insurance. Her music blended elements of disco, soul, and R&B into a style that was uniquely hers, confident, glamorous, and emotionally raw. Beyond the music, Sharon was a trailblazer for black women in the disco genre, challenging the dominance of Eurocentric beauty standards and sound. Her deep, sultry voice and strong visual persona earned her respect from peers and fans alike. She also served as one of Bette Midler's original harlots, giving her exposure to mainstream audiences around the world. But in the early 1990s, Sharon's health began to fail. She was hospitalized with pneumonia, and tragically, it was later revealed that she had AIDS, complications from which made it difficult for her body to recover. Sharon Redd passed away on May 1, 1992, at the age of 46. Though her time in the spotlight was brief, Sharon's legacy continues to pulse through every disco revival. Her voice, style, and defiant artistry helped shape a movement, and left a beat that still makes people dance today. Eazy-E. Eazy-E, born Eric Lynn Wright on September 7, 1964, in Compton, California, grew up surrounded by the harsh realities of inner-city life. He didn't shy away from that environment. Instead, he transformed it into art. What began as a means of survival evolved into a groundbreaking music career that would forever change the face of hip-hop. In 1986, Eazy founded Ruthless Records, a bold move for a young man with a vision. Soon after, he co-founded NWA, a group that revolutionized rap music with its unfiltered narratives of street life. With Straight Outta Compton, Eazy-E and his group kicked down the doors of the music industry, sparking controversy, praise, and an undeniable cultural shift. He wasn't just a rapper, he was a businessman, an innovator, and the fearless mouthpiece of a community that had long been ignored. Eazy's nasally, high-pitched delivery made him instantly recognizable, and tracks like Boys in the Hood and Easy Does It cemented his status as a solo artist. Despite public feuds with former bandmates and criticism for his explicit lyrics, Eazy never backed down from who he was. He stayed deeply involved in his label, mentoring future stars and managing rising acts. In early 1995, after being hospitalized for what he believed was asthma, Eazy received a shocking diagnosis: AIDS. Just weeks later, on March 26, 1995, he passed away at the age of 31. The revelation stunned fans and the music industry alike, especially since Eazy had kept his illness a secret until shortly before his death. Eazy's passing sparked conversations about AIDS in the black community and hip-hop culture, where stigma and silence had long prevailed. More than 2 decades later, his legacy as the godfather of gangsta rap remains untouchable. Eazy spoke raw truth, and his voice still echoes through every mic drop. Alvin Ailey. Alvin Ailey was born on January 5, 1931, in the small town of Rogers, Texas, a place marked by poverty and segregation. From an early age, he found beauty and escape through movement. Whether dancing alone in the open fields or watching churchgoers sway to gospel music, Alvin felt a deep connection between motion and emotion. That connection would one day revolutionize the world of dance. After moving to Los Angeles and later to New York City, Alvin immersed himself in formal training, studying modern dance, ballet, and jazz. But he didn't just want to perform, he wanted to tell stories. In 1958, he founded the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater, a company that would become one of the most celebrated cultural institutions in the world. His goal was clear: to give black dancers a stage and a voice, and to share their experiences through the powerful language of dance. Ailey's most iconic work, Revelations, premiered in 1960 and remains one of the most performed ballets in history. Through its blend of sorrow, joy, spirituals, and African American history, the piece captured the resilience of a people and transformed how audiences viewed dance forever. But Alvin's life wasn't without struggle. Though he kept much of his personal life private, he battled depression and the pressures of being a pioneering black artist in a predominantly white field. In 1989, Alvin Ailey died at the age of 58 due to complications from AIDS. At the time of his death, he chose to keep the cause private, a decision reflective of the stigma that still surrounded the disease. Today, Alvin Ailey's legacy lives on through the dancers, choreographers, and students who continue to bring his vision to life. He didn't just move to music, he moved the world. Kevin Peter Hall. Kevin Peter Hall was born on May 9, 1955, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and from the start, he stood out, literally. Towering at over 7 feet tall, Kevin was often labeled a gentle giant, but his heart and talent were just as immense. Growing up in a family where height ran in the genes, he initially turned to basketball, becoming a star player in both high school and college. Yet behind his athletic achievements, a different passion stirred: acting. After a brief stint playing professional basketball in Venezuela, Kevin decided to pursue acting full-time. At first, Hollywood didn't quite know what to do with his exceptional size. But it wasn't long before directors realized that his height, paired with his expressive physicality, made him perfect for bringing unforgettable characters to life, especially those hidden behind masks and makeup. Kevin's breakthrough came in 1987 when he portrayed the fearsome alien in Predator, opposite Arnold Schwarzenegger. His commanding presence under layers of prosthetics became his trademark. He would go on to reprise the role in Predator 2 and star as the lovable Sasquatch in Harry and the Hendersons, a role that showcased not only his physical skill but also his warmth and charisma. Off-screen, Kevin was known for being soft-spoken, kind, and incredibly professional, earning admiration from peers and fans alike. Tragically, Kevin contracted HIV through a blood transfusion after a car accident in the late 1980s. He continued to work and inspire until his health began to deteriorate. On April 10, 1991, just shy of his 36th birthday, Kevin Peter Hall died from AIDS-related complications. His death was a significant loss to both the entertainment world and those who knew him personally. Kevin proved that true talent doesn't need a spotlight, it can shine through a costume, through silence, and through the legacy of a life well lived. Sylvester James Jr. Sylvester James Jr., known to the world simply as Sylvester, was born on September 6, 1947, in Los Angeles, California. From an early age, his voice was unmistakable, powerful, high-pitched, and filled with raw soul. He began singing gospel in church, astonishing congregations with a vocal range that would one day shake the foundations of disco and redefine queer representation in music. As a young man, Sylvester embraced his identity with fearless flamboyance, often dressing in androgynous clothing and wearing makeup at a time when it was considered radical, even dangerous, for a black man to do so. After moving to San Francisco, he found a haven in the city's thriving LGBTQ+ scene and quickly rose to prominence in underground clubs, where his dynamic voice and dazzling stage presence made him a standout performer. His breakthrough came in 1978 with the release of You Make Me Feel, Mighty Real, a disco anthem that would become his signature song and an enduring symbol of liberation and joy. Sylvester's blend of gospel, soul, and disco created a sound all his own, and his fearlessness in both sound and image earned him the nickname, the Queen of Disco. At a time when the music industry marginalized openly gay artists, Sylvester refused to tone down his identity, becoming an icon of self-expression and pride. Tragically, Sylvester was diagnosed with AIDS in the late 1980s, a time when the disease carried enormous stigma, particularly for black gay men. Despite declining health, he continued to perform and speak publicly about the importance of love, acceptance, and awareness. On December 16, 1988, Sylvester passed away at the age of 41. Today, his legacy lives on not only in the glittering beats of his music but also in his courageous defiance of norms. Sylvester didn't just want you to dance, he wanted you to feel mighty real. Howard Rollins. Howard Rollins was born on October 17, 1950, in Baltimore, Maryland, and from a young age, he found comfort in books and imagination. Shy and introspective, he often escaped into the world of characters and stories, unknowingly laying the groundwork for an acting career that would one day captivate audiences nationwide. After studying theater in college, Rollins quickly gained respect for his ability to bring complex characters to life with nuance and power. His breakout came in 1981 when he portrayed Coalhouse Walker Jr. in Ragtime, a performance that earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor, a rare feat for a young black actor at the time. This role introduced him to a national audience and opened the door to more significant opportunities. One of his most iconic portrayals came in the hit television series In the Heat of the Night, where he played the principled and determined detective Virgil Tibbs. With quiet strength and dignity, Rollins brought emotional depth to the role, making him a fixture on primetime TV and a powerful symbol of black excellence in law enforcement roles. Yet behind the camera, Rollins faced battles of his own. He struggled with addiction, which affected both his health and career. In 1996, his declining health was attributed to lymphoma, but it was later revealed that he had also been living with AIDS, a fact that had remained largely private. On December 8, 1996, he passed away at just 46 years old. Howard Rollins' death was a sobering moment in Hollywood, a reminder of the fragility behind fame. But his legacy endures. He broke racial barriers in film and television with integrity and grace, leaving behind performances that continue to resonate, an artist who brought truth to every role, even as he quietly fought his own. Melvin Lindsay. Melvin Lindsay was born on July 8, 1955, in Washington, D.C., and from a young age, he was enamored with the sounds coming from the radio. With a voice that could soothe the soul, Melvin didn't just listen, he studied, analyzed, and dreamed. That dream materialized in the mid-1970s when he landed a job as a radio intern, a modest beginning that would eventually reshape late-night radio forever. In 1976, during a quiet overnight shift at WUR-FM, Melvin made an impromptu decision that would change the industry. He curated a playlist of slow, romantic R&B and soul tracks, narrating between them with his velvety baritone. The response was immediate and overwhelming. That show became The Quiet Storm, a format that combined soft, intimate music with Melvin's gentle delivery, creating a mood that resonated deeply with listeners craving comfort, love, and emotional connection. Quiet Storm wasn't just a radio show, it was a cultural movement. Melvin had unintentionally pioneered a new genre of radio programming, one that was soon adopted by stations nationwide. His influence helped define a generation's soundtrack for romance and reflection, elevating the careers of countless R&B artists along the way. Melvin's success eventually led him to television, where his poise and charm made him a natural presenter. Yet behind his calm demeanor, Melvin faced a battle he rarely spoke of. In 1992, at the age of 36, he died from complications related to AIDS. His passing stunned fans and colleagues, not just for its suddenness, but because of the silence that had surrounded his illness. Despite his brief life, Melvin Lindsay's voice still echoes through airwaves today. He didn't just create a radio format, he created a feeling, a space for vulnerability, love, and late-night connection that still lives on in the quiet storm. Arthur Ashe. Arthur Ashe was born on July 10, 1943, in Richmond, Virginia, a city deeply divided by segregation. From an early age, he showed not only exceptional athletic talent but also remarkable discipline and intellect. Under the guidance of his father and dedicated mentors, Arthur honed his tennis skills on segregated courts, determined to rise above the racial barriers that surrounded him. His ascent in the tennis world was nothing short of groundbreaking. In 1968, Ashe became the first black man to win the US Open. He later added the Australian Open in 1970 and Wimbledon in 1975 to his list of victories, becoming a symbol of excellence and dignity in a sport long dominated by white athletes. But Arthur was more than a champion on the court. He was an activist, educator, and humanitarian. He used his platform to speak out against apartheid, advocate for civil rights, and champion educational access for underprivileged youth. In the early 1980s, Ashe underwent heart surgery and received a blood transfusion. Unbeknownst to him, the transfusion was contaminated with HIV. He was diagnosed with AIDS in 1988, a time when public fear and stigma around the disease were intense. Rather than retreat into silence, Arthur made the courageous decision to go public with his condition in 1992, determined to raise awareness and combat misinformation. Arthur Ashe died on February 6, 1993, at the age of 49. His death was a profound loss, not only to the world of sports but to humanity. He left behind a legacy that stretched far beyond tennis, a legacy of quiet strength, relentless advocacy, and unshakable integrity. In every sense, Ashe served not only as a trailblazer but as a role model who taught the world that true greatness comes from how one stands in the face of adversity. Jermaine Stewart. Jermaine Stewart was born on September 7, 1957, in Columbus, Ohio, and from a young age, rhythm seemed to live in his bones. His early passion for dance and music led him to the national stage as a dancer on the iconic TV show Soul Train, where his energy and style captivated millions. But Jermaine wasn't content with just moving to the music, he wanted to make it. In the 1980s, he stepped into the spotlight as a solo artist, blending infectious pop hooks with messages that stood out from the norm. His 1986 hit We Don't Have to Take Our Clothes Off became an instant anthem, celebrated for its upbeat melody and its empowering message about consent and self-worth. At a time when provocative lyrics dominated the charts, Jermaine's approach was refreshing and thoughtful, winning over a wide and diverse audience. Behind the catchy beats, Stewart brought vulnerability, charisma, and a unique voice to his music. He toured internationally and released several albums that showcased his range, from joyful dance numbers to introspective ballads. Fans admired not just his voice, but the emotional honesty he brought to every performance. However, Jermaine's career began to slow down in the early 90s as he faced increasing health challenges. Eventually, it became known that he had contracted HIV, and the disease progressed into AIDS. Despite his declining health, he remained committed to his art and continued to work on music until his final days. Jermaine Stewart died on March 17, 1997, at the age of 39. His death was a blow to fans and fellow artists alike. Though his time in the spotlight was brief, his music, and the dignity with which he lived, left a lasting impression. He reminded the world that being bold, honest, and kind could still make you a star. Gil Scott-Heron. Gil Scott-Heron was born on April 1, 1949, in Chicago and raised in Tennessee and New York, places that shaped his sharp intellect and deep social awareness. A poet, musician, and spoken-word pioneer, Gil carved out a space in American music and literature where rhythm met resistance. He's often credited as the godfather of rap, though his work defied categorization, blending jazz, blues, and soul with raw, politically charged poetry. His most iconic piece, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," wasn't just a song, it was a manifesto. In it, Gil challenged passive media consumption and called for action, urging listeners to confront injustice head-on. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, his words tackled racism, poverty, addiction, and systemic oppression with unflinching honesty. Unlike many mainstream artists, Gil didn't sugarcoat reality, he exposed it, layer by layer. Albums like Pieces of a Man and Winter in America became essential listening for those craving depth, substance, and truth in music. His haunting track The Bottle spoke candidly about alcoholism and economic despair, cementing his role not only as an artist but as a social commentator with an unmatched voice. But behind the genius was a man who also struggled. Gil battled drug addiction for years, and his health declined significantly in the 2000s. In interviews and songs later in life, he remained reflective, grappling with his personal demons while continuing to advocate for justice and awareness. Gil Scott-Heron passed away on May 27, 2011, at the age of 62. It was later revealed that he had been living with HIV. His death marked the loss of a revolutionary voice, one that had spoken uncomfortable truths and inspired generations of poets, rappers, and activists. Gil didn't just narrate history, he shaped it, one verse at a time. Kenny Green. Kenny Green was born on January 17, 1969, and emerged in the early 1990s as one of R&B's most soulful yet underrated voices. As the lead singer of the group Intro, Kenny quickly captivated audiences with his velvet-smooth vocals and heartfelt delivery. Songs like Come Inside, Love Tang, and Let Me Be the One showcased not only his vocal power but also his exceptional ability to translate raw emotion into melody. But Kenny wasn't just a singer, he was a prolific songwriter. His pen shaped some of the biggest R&B hits of the decade, including several standout tracks for Mary J. Blige, such as Reminisce and Love No Limit. His lyrics often delved into themes of vulnerability, longing, and emotional complexity, helping to define the sound of 90s soul and earning him Grammy nominations along the way. Green's strength lay in his ability to be emotionally honest, both in his music and eventually in his personal life. In the late 1990s, Kenny revealed in an interview that he was bisexual and had contracted HIV. It was a rare moment of transparency in an era when homophobia and stigma around AIDS remained intense, especially within the music industry. He spoke not from a place of shame, but of truth, hoping his honesty could raise awareness and encourage compassion. As his health declined, Kenny continued to write and record, determined to pour his spirit into the art he loved. Sadly, he passed away on October 1, 2001, at the young age of 32. Though his life was brief, Kenny Green's impact was lasting. He helped shape the emotional language of modern R&B and left behind a catalog of songs that continue to move listeners. In an industry that often prizes image over substance, Kenny gave us both heart and soul, unapologetically. Max Robinson. Max Robinson was born on May 1, 1939, in Richmond, Virginia, during a time when opportunities for black journalists were nearly non-existent. But Max wasn't one to accept limits. Armed with brilliance, eloquence, and unshakable determination, he broke one of the biggest barriers in American broadcast history. In 1978, He became the first black person to anchor a nightly network news broadcast in the U.S., co-anchoring ABC World News Tonight alongside Frank Reynolds and Peter Jennings. Max's journey to the top wasn't easy. Early in his career, he was hired at a local news station, only for his image to be hidden behind a slide while he read the news, simply because he was black. Outraged, he quit on air. That bold decision marked the beginning of a fearless career defined by speaking truth to power and challenging injustice, even within his own industry. As a journalist, Max was a trailblazer. He brought a different lens to the newsroom, one that prioritized stories affecting the black community and exposed systemic issues often ignored by mainstream media. His presence on national television inspired a new generation of black journalists, proving that they too could hold the anchor chair. But behind his professional excellence, Max struggled with the immense pressure of being a racial pioneer in a predominantly white industry. He battled depression and substance abuse, and in the final years of his life, he was diagnosed with AIDS, a condition he kept mostly private due to stigma and fear. Max Robinson passed away on December 20, 1988, at the age of 49. His death was a painful reminder of how silence can surround even the most powerful voices. Yet his legacy lives on in every newsroom where diversity is now expected, not questioned. Max wasn't just a journalist, he was a movement in a suit and tie. Franklin Seals. Franklin Seals was born on July 15, 1952, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and moved to New York as a young man with dreams as expansive as his talent. Gifted with a natural charm and striking presence, he earned a spot at the prestigious Juilliard School, where he studied alongside future legends and refined his craft under the guidance of some of the world's greatest acting mentors. Though his classical training could have taken him to Shakespearean stages, Franklin chose to bring depth and nuance to television and film roles that were often underserved by the industry. He's best remembered for his role as the impeccably dressed Dexter Stuffins on the hit sitcom Silver Spoons. With comedic timing and graceful delivery, he turned what could have been a simple supporting character into a fan favorite, witty, elegant, and unforgettable. Outside of television, Seals shone in dramatic roles. He gave a gripping performance in the film The Onion Field and appeared in the cult classic The Last Dragon. Whether portraying a tough street character or a polished professional, Franklin brought honesty to every role, reflecting the layered humanity that too often eluded black characters on screen during that era. Yet despite his talent, Franklin never received the widespread recognition he deserved. In the late 1980s, he was diagnosed with AIDS. He continued to work as long as his health allowed, but the illness eventually overtook him. On May 14, 1990, he passed away at the age of 37. Franklin Seals' career was a glimpse of what could have been, a star who broke barriers with subtlety and strength. Though his name may not appear on every marquee, his contributions carved out space for more inclusive storytelling. He was, and remains, a quiet force in television history. Jean Anthony Ray. Jean Anthony Ray was born on May 24, 1962, in Harlem, New York, a neighborhood pulsing with energy, rhythm, and culture. From the moment he could move, Jean danced like the city lived inside him. Without formal training but full of raw, magnetic talent, he captivated anyone who watched him. That magnetic presence would catapult him into pop culture history when he landed the iconic role of Leroy Johnson in the 1980 film Fame. Jean wasn't acting, he was Leroy. A bold, street-smart dancer who didn't fit into traditional molds but electrified every scene he touched. His powerful moves, fiery attitude, and undeniable charisma made him an instant fan favorite. He reprised the role in the television adaptation, becoming a symbol of youthful rebellion, ambition, and raw talent. At a time when few young black performers had such visibility, Jean blazed a trail. His presence alone shifted the image of who could be a star in dance. However, behind the scenes, Jean's life was often as turbulent as it was dazzling. Fame came fast, but structure and support did not. Struggling with addiction and financial instability, he drifted from the spotlight, finding it difficult to maintain the momentum his talent deserved. Still, fans never forgot him. His character and fame remained etched in the minds of millions, iconic, defiant, unforgettable. In the early 2000s, Gene's health declined, and he was diagnosed with HIV, which eventually progressed to AIDS. On November 2, 2003, he passed away at the age of 41 due to complications from both the disease and a stroke. Though his time in the spotlight was brief, Gene Anthony Ray's impact remains timeless. He danced like the world was watching, and for a moment, it was. In every bold leap and fearless spin, he gave us a glimpse of what it meant to truly live for the spotlight. Willie Smith. Willie Smith, more widely known as Willie Smith, was born on February 29, 1948, in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, into a family that nurtured both his artistic instincts and his sense of individuality. From a young age, while other kids played outside, Willie was sketching clothes and dreaming of dressing the world. That dream became a reality in the 1970s and 80s, as he rose to become one of the most successful and influential black fashion designers in history. Smith's approach to fashion was radical for its time. He believed clothes should be accessible, comfortable, and reflect real people, not just runway models. In 1976, he co-founded WillieWear, a brand that combined streetwear sensibility with high-concept design. His clothes were playful, loose-fitting, and bold, mirroring the creative energy of the streets while appealing to celebrities, artists, and everyday individuals alike. He collaborated across disciplines, working with dancers, visual artists, and architects to create multimedia fashion experiences that broke the mold of traditional design. Willie's work championed diversity, body positivity, and affordability long before these became buzzwords in the industry. He was a pioneer not just in design, but in vision, proving that high fashion didn't need to be exclusive to be revolutionary. In 1987, after a trip to India, Willie became seriously ill. He was admitted to the hospital with pneumonia, and shortly afterward, it was revealed he had AIDS, a diagnosis that shocked many, as he had kept his condition private. Willie Smith died on April 17, 1987, at the age of 39. Though his life was tragically short, Willie's legacy remains stitched into the fabric of fashion history. He was a visionary who dressed the world in confidence, color, and courage, reminding us all that style is more than clothing. It's a statement of identity, purpose, and freedom. David Cole. David Cole was born on June 3, 1962, in Johnson City, Tennessee, and grew up surrounded by gospel and soul, sounds that would later infuse his genre-bending musical legacy. As a gifted pianist and composer, David's musical instincts were sharp, but it wasn't until he moved to New York City that his career truly caught fire. There, he met fellow musician Robert Clivels, and together they formed one of the most defining music duos of the early 90s, C+C Music Factory. With Cole behind the keyboards and studio board, the duo exploded onto the charts with dance-pop anthems like Gonna Make You Sweat, Everybody Dance Now. Their music dominated clubs and airwaves alike, infectious, high-energy, and unapologetically bold. Beyond performing, David was a master producer and songwriter, collaborating with icons like Mariah Carey, Aretha Franklin, and Whitney Houston. His ability to craft hits across pop, R&B, and house music made him one of the most sought-after producers of his time. But while his professional star was rising, David was privately battling serious health challenges. In the mid-1990s, his condition began to deteriorate. The official cause of death was listed as complications from spinal meningitis, but many within the industry knew the underlying battle he faced, AIDS. Due to stigma, his diagnosis was not widely publicized during his lifetime. On January 24, 1995, David Cole passed away at just 32 years old. His death was a devastating blow to the music world, cutting short a career that had only begun to reveal its full brilliance. David Cole's legacy, however, lives on through every beat that still makes people dance. He was more than a hitmaker, he was a sound architect who helped shape the energy of a generation. His music didn't just move bodies, it moved the culture. Ricky Wilson. Ricky Wilson was born on March 19, 1953, in Athens, Georgia, and became one of the most innovative guitarists of the New Wave era. As a founding member of the wildly eclectic band the B-52s, Ricky helped craft a sound that defied genres, mixing surf rock, punk, and kitschy pop with a quirky, avant-garde flair. His unconventional playing style, which often featured alternate tunings and stripped-down strings, gave the band its signature jangle and edge. With hits like Rock Lobster, Planet Claire, and Private Idaho, the B-52s quickly rose to cult status. Ricky's guitar wasn't just accompaniment, it was the heartbeat of the band's strange, joyful, and rebellious energy. His chemistry with bandmates, including his sister Cindy Wilson, brought a familial authenticity to their music that made their oddball aesthetic feel both sincere and infectious. Though the B-52s became known for their campy visuals and wild performances, Ricky was the quiet architect behind their musical foundation. His unique talent earned admiration from both fans and critics, yet he remained humble and reserved, often shying away from the spotlight. In the mid-1980s, as the band was gaining momentum, Ricky was quietly battling a private war. Diagnosed with AIDS, he chose to keep his illness a secret, even from some of his closest friends and collaborators. Determined not to let his condition overshadow the music, he continued to record and perform, pouring everything he had into his final work with the band. On October 12, 1985, Ricky Wilson passed away at just 32 years old. His death shocked his bandmates and fans alike, and it wasn't until afterward that many learned the truth behind his sudden decline. Though his life was tragically short, Ricky's impact endures. He didn't just play guitar, he reimagined what it could be. His sound still echoes, strange and beautiful, through every beat of the B-52's legacy. The stories of these 20 black celebrities are powerful reminders of talent, courage, and the devastating toll of AIDS, especially during a time when silence, stigma, and misinformation surrounded the disease. Each of these individuals left behind a legacy that continues to inspire, entertain, and move generations. From groundbreaking musicians to barrier-breaking actors and designers, their contributions shaped culture in ways that can't be forgotten. Which of these stories impacted you the most? Were there any names or legacies that surprised you? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video meaningful or learned something new, please give it a thumbs up and share it with others to help keep these legacies alive. Don't forget to subscribe to Legends of Black Excellence for more untold stories that honor Black brilliance, resilience, and history. Together, we remember, not just how they died, but how they lived.